In the quiet outskirts of Missouri Valley, 12-year-old Eli Carter lived with his widowed mother, Rose, on a patch of dry farmland. Every day, Eli helped his mother tend to the stubborn earth that refused to grow anything worthwhile. His father had once promised to turn this land into a grand orchard. "Our orchard will feed families for miles," he used to say. But after his father died in a tragic railroad accident, the dream withered along with the soil. Neighbors whispered that the Carters were cursed. Eli never argued. He simply held on to the one gift his father left him. He listened. To the wind, to the soil, to the sleeping roots that weren't there. Yet, sometimes he swore the empty land, breathed, soft and slow, like a heartbeat under the dirt, waiting. Eli didn't understand it, but he felt hope buried deep, waiting to grow. One evening, his mother returned from town with news of eviction. They had one more week to make the farm profitable, or the bank would take it. Rose tried to stay strong, but Eli saw tears fall into the dry cracks of the soil. Eli dug through his father's old wooden chest, searching for anything. A miracle, maybe. All he found was a tiny linen pouch tied with twine. Inside, one apple seed. A note was pinned beside it, written in his father's rushed handwriting, "Plant with faith, not fear." Eli stared at the seed. It looked ordinary, pathetic even. But it was all he had left of his father's dreams. So he went outside, barefoot, under the stars, dug a small hole, and pressed the seed into the earth. The ground felt warm beneath his hands, warmer than it should. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. The wind howled. The shutters rattled. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking of the future that was slipping away. Then, something strange. A deep exhale drifted through his window, like the earth itself had sighed. Eli rushed outside. The moon lit the field. The soil around the planted seed was moving, rising, falling, smoothly, rhythmically, breathing. The breath smelled sweet, like apple blossoms in spring, a smell Eli had almost forgotten. Afraid yet mesmerized, he knelt down. The breathing quickened beneath his palm, as if responding to his heartbeat. For a moment, he wasn't scared. He was certain something was waking up. At dawn, Rose screamed his name. Eli jumped up, running outside, expecting disaster. Instead, he saw green, endless green. Where bare dirt had been, now stood row upon row of apple trees, stretching as far as the wheat fields beyond. Branches twisted like they had been growing for decades, leaves shimmered with morning dew, and apples, hundreds of them, already ripe, perfect, crimson. Rose fell to her knees. Eli could only whisper one word, "Dad." Every tree swayed in unison, their leaves rustling like a message, a greeting, a promise. The orchard had grown, overnight. News traveled faster than the wind. Crowds gathered at the Carter farm, shocked, curious, hopeful. The Great Freeze of 1906 had ruined crops across the Missouri Valley. People were hungry, desperate. Rose hesitated. They had debts. They needed every apple if they hoped to survive. But when Eli saw a thin little girl staring longingly at a fruit, he remembered his father's words. "Our orchard will feed families for miles." So Eli picked the first apple and handed it to her. Something magical happened. The orchard leaves shimmered as if pleased. Soon families were walking away with baskets full, children laughing, mothers crying tears of relief. Eli saw his mother watching, not with fear anymore, but hope. That evening, Dr. Samuel Finch arrived. He'd heard rumors of a healing orchard, apples that strengthened the weak and brightened the spirits of the ill. He asked to test one on his son, Jonathan, a boy Eli knew well who had been bedridden with scarlet fever for months. Rose hesitated, but Eli said yes. Jonathan took a single bite. Color returned to his cheeks. Breathing eased. Eyes opened, full of life. People gasped. The orchard rustled again, louder, happier. Dr. Finch hugged Eli tightly, whispering, "Your father would be proud." Eli didn't know how he knew, but the trees were listening. Within days, the orchard changed everything. Children stopped going hungry. Sick neighbors recovered faster than any medicine. Men returned to work, strong again. Rose used the small donations people insisted on giving to pay off the farm's debt. For the first time in years, she slept without crying. But Eli noticed something new. When the orchard gave more, it seemed to need something too. Before sunrise, he heard faint whispers among the trunks. Not words, just a feeling. Stay with us. Don't leave us. The orchard did not simply grow. It needed care. It needed him. Not everyone celebrated. Wealthy landowner Silas Maddox, owner of the town's failing apple business, saw his profits torn away. He confronted Rose, voice dripping like poison. "You're sitting on land that belongs in better hands? Sell it, or I'll take it." Rose stood firm. Silas left furious, vowing he wouldn't watch his empire crumble. That night, Silas returned with two men, axes glimmering under the moon. When they approached the orchard, the wind roared. Branches whipped like wild beasts. Roots burst from the ground, knocking Silas down. In terror, he fled, tripping over himself, leaving his hat behind. The orchard had defended itself. Eli realized it could protect them, but feared what else it might do. The next morning, Eli touched the bark of the nearest tree. A swell of images rushed into his mind. His father planting seeds, laughing, dreaming of this orchard. But then the vision changed. Trees dried, leaves fell, people starving again, the orchard dying. A single emotion pulsed through him: fear. Eli stumbled back, shaking. The orchard wasn't invincible. It depended on something. Maybe him. He told his mother everything. Instead of doubting, she placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your father always said you had a gift, Eli. Maybe this orchard needs love just as much as it gives." Her voice held faith. Eli held responsibility. Eli began spending every waking moment among the trees. He watered them before the sun rose, sang the lullabies his father used to hum, told the orchard stories about kindness, gratitude, and family. The trees breathed slower, calmer, as if comforted by his presence. One night under a bright harvest moon, Eli whispered, "If you're listening, thank you. You saved us." The wind stopped. The orchard fell silent. Then a single strong heartbeat thudded beneath the soil. Thump. Eli froze. The heartbeat repeated. Slow, deep, steady. The orchard was alive. And Eli realized something both wonderful and terrifying. It wasn't his father's dream anymore. It was his. Weeks passed in peace until Eli noticed leaves turning brown on the orchard's tallest tree. Not from weather, not from pests. It looked like grief. He pressed his palm to the trunk, his mind filled with a jolt of sorrow, apples being taken without gratitude, people forgetting their renewed strength, greed growing faster than crops. Eli realized the orchard didn't just feed bodies, it fed on kindness. When thanks faded, the trees weakened. Eli raced into town, reminding everyone the orchard wasn't a miracle to exploit. It was a blessing to respect. Some listened and hurried to help restore the trees. Others, fueled by selfishness, scoffed. The orchard began to flicker, breathing shallow and scared. Silas Maddox, still bitter and humiliated, saw his chance. He rode into Omaha, returning with a contract and men armed with saws. He planned to cut the orchard down and seize the land legally. He approached the mayor with bribes and threats. Papers were stamped. Sheriffs were sent. The town begged Eli for help, but he was just a boy, and the orchard, though alive, could not fight laws written by powerful hands. That night, Eli sat beneath the largest tree, crying into its roots. "I can't protect you," he whispered. The orchard responded with a tremor. Leaves fell like tears. A single word pulsed into Eli's heart: believe. Eli's dreams turned vivid, his father walking between the trees, smiling, kneeling beside him. "These trees are more than wood and leaf," he said. "They are every hope we planted in this land, every act of kindness, every life saved. But all of it depends on one thing." "What?" Eli asked through tears. His father pressed a hand to his chest. "You." Eli awoke gasping, understanding. He was the orchard's heart. The reason it breathed. His belief gave it life. He ran outside. The orchard thrummed with weak pulses of energy, waiting for him to choose strength. The decision was made. Silas Maddox arrived at dawn with deputies and loud, sharp steel. The orchard shivered in fear as axes glinted beneath the sun. Crowds of townsfolk gathered, pleading for mercy. Silas raised his axe, shouting, "Nature doesn't make rules, men do." As the blade swung down, Eli jumped in front of the tree. "Then you'll have to go through me," he said, voice trembling but brave. The deputies hesitated. The crowd gasped. Silas barked, "Move, boy." But Eli couldn't. The orchard's heartbeat grew louder, pulsing like war drums beneath the ground. Silas shoved Eli aside. The impact sent him crashing to the soil, his head striking a root. Pain shot through his skull. He lay still. The orchard's heartbeat thundered. Leaves shook violently. Then, silence. Every tree bowed its branches toward him. A soft wind formed words only Eli heard. "We give what you gave." Roots gently wrapped around his body, not harming him, and began to pulse life into his veins. His mother ran forward screaming, but Dr. Finch held her back. "Wait, look." Eli's eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly green. He rose, stronger than he'd ever felt. Eli stepped forward, voice resonating with the orchard itself. "This land isn't for sale. It isn't for greed. It's for people." Silas swung his axe at Eli in rage, but branches lashed out and caught the blade midair. Roots surged upward, wrapping around Silas's feet. They lifted him until he was eye level with Eli. The orchard whispered through the leaves, "Words take more than wood." Eli looked into Silas's terrified eyes. "Greed starves the world," he said softly. "Let go, and it might feed you too." The roots released Silas, dropping him to the ground unharmed, except for a crushed ego. He crawled away, sobbing. The crowd stood speechless. Silas didn't return home. Instead, he wandered to the riverbank, head in his hands, ashamed. He remembered hungry families he had turned away, employees he had fired just to save profits. For the first time in his life, he cried for someone other than himself. Then he felt a presence. Dr. Finch had followed him. "Change doesn't erase what you've done," the doctor said, sitting beside him. "But refusing to change is the true sin." Silas wiped his tears. "Do you think forgiveness grows on trees?" Dr. Finch smiled thoughtfully. "In Missouri Valley, maybe it does." Days passed. The orchard flourished again, not because of magic alone, but because the town cared in return. People volunteered. Children sang among the branches. Gratitude hung on every breeze. Even Silas returned, humbly, asking to help pick fruit for the poor. When Eli nodded approval, the orchard shook its leaves gently, a warm welcome. But Eli noticed something new. The heartbeat wasn't constant anymore. It slowed each day, growing quieter. One night, he placed his hand on the soil. His father's voice echoed again. "Dreams don't stay miracles forever. They become memories. and legacies. The orchard was fading. Eli gathered the town beneath the trees at sunset. Golden light cast long shadows, like the orchard was bowing farewell. "It gave us everything," Eli said. "Now it needs us to carry its gift forward." Leaves fluttered down around them, each a vivid green heart. One by one the apples glowed, bursting with seeds stronger than the one their orchard began from. Eli handed them out. "Plant them everywhere. Not just here, in every town that needs hope." The orchard's breathing slowed. Thum, thum, thum. The final heartbeat pulsed upward through the branches, and a warm wind swept through the valley. Every tree shimmered, then crumbled into dust, sparked with green light. The orchard was gone. Rose hugged her son tightly, whispering only one word: miracle. Years later, the Missouri Valley was unrecognizable, overflowing with apple orchards, each one built by families who once stood hungry and hopeless, each one planted with a seed from Eli's orchard. Silas Maddox now ran a community orchard, free food for anyone in need. Dr. Finch's son became a farmer. Eli grew into a kind leader, not of land, but of hearts. Visitors came from far away to hear the story of the orchard that breathed. And at night, when wind rustled through the branches of the new orchards, Eli smiled, because he still heard it. Thum. The heartbeat never died. It just spread,